Good morning. Good morning, Mod Squad members, friends, TGIT. Almost to our 3-day weekend. Well, for some of us, some people have to work on Monday, like my husband. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Sonia Gray. Izzy's in the hizzy. Hello, Pale. Tamara, Jimmy, how are you? I think I said hi to everybody before at the pre-party. Hello, Jody Landis. Bonafide made it in. She's shopping. I've posted the members link. So if you would like to become a member, please click on that. Hit join, however you do it. It's $2, and we have a big members show on Monday. You never know what's going to happen at a members show. Just like you never know from day to day what's going to happen on this show. If you were in yesterday for the show about Quentin Simon. Got sideways on me real quick, but that's okay. That's okay. We're adults. True Crime Beat said fun times. Hello, preschool granny. This case I'm going to be talking about today, and I'm going to put the link up if anybody wants to come up and talk to me about it. Hello, Slim Shady. Is so damn ridiculous. I can't believe these two didn't take a plea or something. I don't know why the hell they're taking up one of our favorite judges' time. That's right. Judge Clifton Newman is back on the bench. He has not retired yet. And he's overseen this case. I heard about this case years ago. I hear about a child that was put in a car. We've heard these stories before, but when I heard she was 13, I said, well, why didn't she get out of the car? Well, then I find out that she's severely disabled. She's nonverbal. She's in a wheelchair. She basically belly crawls around the house. And she's got a very negligent mother. A negligent mother who is a school teacher, or was, and has been Teacher of the Year twice in her career. Their defense is simple but sick. They put her in the back of the car, shut the door, but didn't roll down the windows. Why they put her in the car, I don't know. They weren't planning on going anywhere. And they stood on the porch and did some meth, played grab ass, and then like almost 6 hours later realized she was dead. The heat index that day in South Carolina was 135 degrees. Imagine the greenhouse effect in that car. Her body temperature was 109. And from what I'm reading, it's because that's as high as the mercury and the thermometer would go. On the left on your screen, we have Larry King Jr., no relation to the Larry King that we're familiar with. In the middle, we have Rita Pangalangan. It's a mouthful. And then the victim is her daughter, Cristina. It is a horrible case. Again, the defense is they did some meth and didn't remember she was in the car. Taking an old page from Sarah Boone, I guess, or Billy Joe Howell. You know, Billy Joe Howell was saying when people are effed up, they do stupid shit. So she wasn't too upset about her grandson Quentin being dead. Sarah Boone said she had one bottle of wine, and then it turns out that she was so inebriated she didn't even realize that she had taken a video of her crime. The end result, whether you're effed up or not, if the end result is death, the law doesn't really care. We have a lot to go through on this case, and I have a feeling you're going to be as mad about this as I am. Let's start with a little bit of the backstory. Again, you're going to recognize the judge. You're going to recognize the courtroom because we're back to the low country. We're back to Murdaugh territory. Check this out. This happened in 2019, and they're just now getting to trial. Some people say because of COVID. Look, these two weren't in any hurry to go to trial because they both bonded out and they've been living their best life. I'm going to show you some of her Facebook videos. She's been posting on the old Facebook about how much she loves her daughter. Loves her daughter. If you love your child, do you put him in a hot car, do meth with your new side piece, and not check on her? We're going to hear more about her neglect. Let's start with this.
Two people accused of leaving a disabled 13-year-old girl in a hot car to die are going to trial. They're each charged with murder. The incident happened in Colleton County back in the year 2019. Melissa Rademacher is at the Colleton County Courthouse now, where Melissa, this trial is just now getting underway.
Raphael, it's been a long day of jury selection. I talked with a few of the dismissed jurors on their way out and some people passing through downtown Walterboro wondering what might be going on today. And many of them said despite the 4 years since it happened, they remember hearing the news of this case pretty clearly. Now, all of that information and the high-profile nature of this case within the small town of Ruffin and Colleton County could have been a factor in why jury selection did take all day. Jury has went ahead and been dismissed, and Judge Clifton Newman is speaking with the lawyers.
Look at her. Now, this was from 2019. She still looks heinous in the courtroom. Look at that old sagging face. Look at it. Pam Davidson, I called premeditation. Remember the days when one couldn't bail out when you committed murder? I do remember those days. I miss those days. And not just murder in this case. Murder, unlawful conduct towards a child, and conspiracy to commit murder. They believe it was premeditated. The state of South Carolina does. Good call, Pam.
Inside. Now we'll have a little more info about what we can expect for the rest of this week. In August of 2019, in this case, investigators say Rita Pangalangan and Larry King put Pangalangan's 13-year-old disabled daughter, Cristina, in a car outside around 11 a.m. The report says they checked on her every few hours, and when they discovered the car was locked around 3 in the afternoon, they left to get a spare set of keys. When they got back more than an hour later, the child was dead. The two were arrested and denied bond at first, but after about a month in custody, they got out on bond. This trial is taking place about 4 years since that incident. There is also an ongoing wrongful death lawsuit on behalf of Christina's estate against the Department of Social Services.
Go figure. They have their own wrongful death lawsuit, the estate of Cristina, to the Department of Social Services. She needed home health care. You're going to hear from a couple of babysitters that were put in charge of taking care of Cristina. Sometimes Rita didn't come back for several days. Well, then why weren't they there? Why didn't you have home health care for her? Some of these babysitters over the years were paid $5 an hour. And that's to change a teenager's diaper. Think about that. Think about that.
It was filed 2 years after her death and alleges some concerns about that household were brought up before her death. I reached out to the attorney representing her estate for any more information about that case and haven't heard back yet, but there were some procedural filings made in the wrongful death lawsuit earlier this week. Like I said, the judge and lawyers are still inside talking right now about what we may be able to see later this week. We'll start with opening arguments tomorrow in both cases. In Colleton County, Melissa Rademacher, Live 5 News.
And Bonnie for the win said because home health care would have reported them for meth. It's a little hard to have your meth habit when you've got authoritarian figures around the house saying, hey, you know what? I have to go home sometime. So gonna appreciate you not doing meth until I come back tomorrow. I mean, how would you even have that conversation? It's beyond disgusting. Let's get to what the prosecutor called it. I actually stole his line for the title of this because he said it perfectly. Cooked to death. You're going to see in a video where Larry King Jr. picks her up, cradles her, and puts her in the back of the car. The video is beyond disturbing. You may have to turn up your volume a little bit. I've got it up all the way. Yep, there's Judge Newman. Tiff said, hey, Judge, I missed you.
Very hot August 5th, 2019. These two people over here, Larry King and Rita Pangalangan, put a child in the back of a car and left it there for 5 hours and 41 minutes.
5 hours and 41 minutes. Diana said, is this judge familiar? Yes, he presided over the Murdaugh trial. I can't wait until he sentences them. 5 hours and 41 minutes. She couldn't have put herself in the car, and she can't get herself out of the car.
So it was a hot day. At 11:15, when this all started, the heat index was already 89 degrees. It would get close to 100 by the time they ever got that child out of the car. And that was outside the car. That was out air temperature outside. Inside the cabin of the car, we reach a minimum of 118 degrees with a heat index of 135. So what happened?
Cristina didn't even know what was happening to her. She can't get out of the car. She didn't put herself in the car. Heat index of 118, and with the greenhouse effect inside the car, 135. Her body temperature was 109. She had blisters all over her body from the heat. Good morning, Pat K.
Happens when you put a child in the backseat of the car and leave them there for 5 hours and 41 minutes. They cooked to death. They are tortured and they are cooked to death. The child's internal temperature, when checked by the coroner, was 109.9 degrees. And that's what we know. Because the thermometer doesn't go any higher. The child's brain gave up. The organs shut down. She had blisters all over her body. And she died in the backseat of that car. She died, the technical way, the scientific answer to that was hypothermia. You'll hear expert testimony telling you that the child died of hypothermia. But that's not why you're here. Because she didn't actually die of hypothermia. She died because those two people there treated that little girl like baggage. They didn't forget her. They didn't put her in the car and forget her. They put her in the car because to them, she was baggage. You see, the little girl wasn't like every other 13-year-old girl. She suffered from cerebral palsy. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. Her hands barely worked. She could not reach the car door to open it to free herself. She couldn't even scream for help. Not that they would have cared. She was totally dependent on other people for her safety. The other thing about her, again, not like a normal 13-year-old teenager, she couldn't be shipped off to go with her friends to the mall or something when Rita and Larry wanted to be alone.
Exactly. She's not a normal, I hate to use that word. She's not a normal 13-year-old girl. So when they wanted to go and do the horizontal boogaloo in the house, that was their way of babysitting her. Now, don't forget the meth, and you're going to see the video where they're playing grab ass out on the street. On the porch. Damn sick.
They wanted to do the things they were interested in. She had to be taken care of. She had to be watched and cared for. Or she had to be put somewhere out of the way. And on August the 5th, 2019, that place was the backseat of the car in direct sunlight. And what were they doing? They were high on meth. Objection.
Objections overruled.
Not only were they high on meth, they were standing right in the car. They were swinging on the swing. They were hugging. They were kissing, all of which you'll see. And they would go inside the house and stay there for hours.
With her in the car, they would go inside the house and stay for hours. Yeah. So Larry could get his stinger wet and they could do more meth. Meanwhile, she is dying a horrible death.
They would come out. We would smoke cigarettes. They would hug. They would kiss. And go back in the house. All the time, the child was literally cooking to death in the car. She was to them baggage. And they needed to get her a voice so they could do what they needed to do. The decisions we all make every day, most of us have choices. Most of us have the ability to make decisions, how we act, what we do. And those choices have consequences. Rita Pangalangan chose to put that child in that car. She chose to focus her attention on Larry, to talk to him, to kiss him, to hug him, go inside with him. She chose to do meth. Larry, same thing. He chose to put the child in the car. And I say put, that's gracious. You'll watch it on the video and see how he puts that child in the car. Just like he would a suitcase. And he chose to spend his time outside the car and inside the house with Rita and hugging and kissing. And on that. Those are choices that they make. And those choices have consequences. The only person in this case that didn't have a choice was Cristina. She had no choice. She was totally dependent on somebody else for her safety. And they didn't care. That's what this case is about. Now, my job is to prove to you this case beyond a reasonable doubt. What I've told you. If I don't do that, your job is to come back here and find me not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you after you hear the testimony, after you see the video of the case, after you see what happens with this child, to come back here and give us a verdict that speaks the truth. This child died not because of any other reason. So, you have a matter of law at the appropriate time for that.
The objection is sustained as to the solicitor's reference to speak the truth, and you're to disregard that reference.
When this is over, I'm going to ask you to come back and give us a verdict that says this child died. This should be forgotten. Because they didn't care.
Testimony about this child.
Okay, it's beyond disgusting. So those are the opening arguments, if you want to call them that, with the prosecutor, because I don't feel, or if they call solicitor in South Carolina, I don't feel there's any argument at all. If you can stomach it, please look at the video. Now, this is only part of it. The whole thing is almost 6 hours long. There is no sound, so you have to look at your screen. I know some people are running, some people are driving, some people are at work. Don't do anything dangerous. You can watch it later if need be. Pat said, nope, not looking. Okay, so there's Larry bringing her outside to put her in the car. Rita's opening the door. No keys, no purse, not going anywhere. Does not roll down the windows as if that would make it, well, it would make it a lot better, but you know what I mean. Making sure she's strapped in. She can't get out anyway. She's immobile. As you can see where they live, there's no neighbors around them. He adjusts his ball sack. Let's look at that again. He waves at her. And it's just sick. This actually has more of the video in it. Good old Vinny's back, no spray tan. Let's look at this.
I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us here tonight on Closing Arguments. And every night I get to do this job, I'm so thankful that I'm able to do this job. And I have so many people to thank who allowed me to become who I am and really guided me through this journey of life to live out your dreams doing what I'm doing every night. And of course, it begins with my parents, continued obviously with my wife, but also growing up, going back, teachers, top of the list. Coach Blind, my basketball coach, shaped and molded me in high school. In junior high school, it was Mr. Ehrlich, my journalism teacher who did that. And he took a kid who was shy and found whoever I was inside and helped transform me. It was amazing. A teacher. And then in grammar school, of course, Miss Martucci and every other grammar school teacher I had, amazing, amazing teachers, amazing people. That's why when it's time to celebrate teachers, we all should be celebrating teachers. Rita Pangalangan, take a look. Teacher of the Year in 2014. Teacher of the Year in 2014. And there she is with her special needs child who she took care of as well. Think about that, folks. You have the child at home that needs all this care, and you take care of that child, and then you go to work and you take care of everyone else's child. What an amazing, amazing heart and person Rita Pangalangan at least was, because today in court at her murder trial, we found out a little bit more about how she was treating her own special needs child. Get ready, this can get you upset, but it should get you upset. Let's take a listen.
About what time did she ask if you could watch?
I believe it was like around 5, 6 o'clock.
And did you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And tell me about that. She left the house, I'm assuming, sometime around that afternoon?
Yes, sir. I would say about like around 5, 6 o'clock. That afternoon, she left.
Anybody else there to take care of Cristina?
No, sir.
Just you?
Mm-hmm.
Had you taken care of Cristina before?
No, sir.
This was on what day?
Murder. We've got video of the whole thing taking place. It starts at 11:16 when she puts her daughter with her boyfriend, carrying her from inside the home in the middle of the day. 11:16. Oh, where should we stick her? Let's stick her in the back of the car. What? What? Why are you going? They're not even going anywhere. Now it's 12:30. Oh, maybe we should check and see how she's doing. In the sun, in the car.
And they go back to check on her and leave her in there. This starts at 11:16 a.m. Kind of like Sarah Boone that took the video of her boyfriend in the suitcase. I guess they didn't realize that their cameras work.
Like, why are you putting your child out in the car while you're home? Now, here they are from 1:45 to 2 o'clock on the stoop. You've got her and the boyfriend. What are they, like? The child's in the car. Can you get her out? Oh, no, let's kiss a little bit. What is he doing? Where's his hand? What are they doing? Like groping each other on the porch? How about taking care of the special needs child that you have instead of leaving her locked in the car? This is gross. This is gross. I don't even know if you definitely don't want to see this. But this is the evidence in the case. And it goes on and on and on. 5.5 hours. Cristina died in that hot car. How was your teacher of the year? Unreal. Let's bring in our think tank.
We have our own think tank here, and they have it time-elapse the video. That's why I put it on. I do not understand this at all. And they have had zero remorse since she died in that hot car in August of 2019. They bonded out. They've each been going about their lives as if no big deal. I mean, they're on the porch. If you want to hang out outside, why not put her in her wheelchair and bring her outside too? Mama Kay said, okay, now I think it's premeditated with all that checking. And I think it's gross. They're playing grab ass. He's adjusting his balls. Vinny says, what are they doing? It's called foreplay. Because they go inside the air-conditioned house and get naked with each other and go back out on the porch to take another hit of methamphetamine and check on her. How long did it take them to realize it's hot outside and she's in the car when he put her in there? Oh, I don't even know what to say. Let's look at this testimony from this week or recent. This woman rented a room from Rita. And she explains how Rita would basically just have anybody watch her child. It makes you wonder, where is her biological father? Which, from what I'm understanding, he lives close by. Where are her older siblings who live close by? Where are the grandparents? Why don't you have a home health nurse? Unless it's because you're trying to hide some of your dirty secrets. Listen to what this woman has to say.
My name is Brittany Honeycutt, Honeycutt,
Miss Honeycutt, where do you live, ma'am?
I live in Link City, Texas.
And what do you do?
I am in administration for Chevron.
How long have you been doing that?
A couple months.
Let me ask you to go back now to August, and a few months prior to that, in 2019. Did you know Rita Pangalangan?
I did not know her personally. I met her through an ex-boyfriend.
Okay. So did you have an occasion to come in contact with her on a regular basis?
After I moved in, yes.
All right, but tell me about moving in.
When I moved in, the agreement was I would pay some rent.
All right, let me back you up just a second.
Sorry.
So, who are you moving in with?
It was me and my two kids.
Okay. And who are you moving you and your two kids in?
Into Rita Pangalangan's house on Academy Road.
And that's Academy Road?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
All right, great. So what was the rental agreement on that?
I would pay her some rent just for staying there because it was supposed to be a temporary situation.
How long did you stay? How long did you rent from Rita?
From May of 2019 until August 1st of 2019.
Until August 1st, 2019. So until the Thursday before this.
Yes.
During that time, did you come in contact with Cristina?
Yes, every day.
Tell me about Cristina. How would you describe Cristina?
Cristina was obviously disabled, but she was a sweet girl. She was quiet. She kind of watched TV. She played with her toys. She didn't really bother anybody. I mean, you knew she was there, but she was just really quiet.
Horsewoman 2000 has a question. She said, what would they, the parents, gain by her death? Well, Larry is a boyfriend. He's not her father. Rita's her mother. And what the prosecutor just said is she was in the way. Rita just couldn't do what she wanted to do, whether it was long weekends with Larry or meth or whatever. I mean, with all of her special needs, Christina's, she took up a lot of her time. And I'm sure that drugs get in the way when you have a child that functions on a regular. But when you have a child that is in a wheelchair and needs diapers changed, can't walk, can't talk, Rita was just flat out selfish. And again, this woman lived with her from May of 2019 to August of 2019. She moved out before the car incident.
Tell me, could she walk?
She could not walk.
Could she talk?
She could not talk.
But you could see emotions, I guess.
Oh yeah, she definitely showed emotions.
Okay. All right. Did you ever take care of Christina?
There were a couple times where I was asked to watch her for a little bit.
So when you say you were asked, who asked you?
Rita asked me
Okay. Asked you to watch her?
to watch her, yes.
And how many times was that?
By myself, a couple.
Your Honor, this is subject for a prior.
Yes. Yes. Proceed.
Thank you. All right, so over the time that you stayed there, you watched her yourself, by yourself a couple of times?
Yes.
And what did you have to do to take care of her?
Since it was just a few hours when I had to do it by myself, it was just basically make sure her diaper was clean, make sure she had Kool-Aid in her cup, and that was pretty much it.
Did she, did Rita Pangalangan ever just leave the child with you without asking you to take care of her?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
So there was an incident where there was a Sunday night in July where she had asked me to watch her for just overnight, and I said that was fine. So, I'm sorry, that was not Sunday, that was a Monday. And she came back the next day because I had told her I had to work. So she did come back home that morning, and she told me she was going to be home all day. And when I was ready to go to work, or sorry, I am so sorry. I like got my days mixed up. So when I first watched her the first night, that was an agreement. The next day it was she wasn't going anywhere. And then it was I remember her giving her a bath. I remember her getting ready for bed, and she would close her door, and she did a normal routine. And then I went to bed with my kids because I had to work the next day. And next thing I know, the next morning I woke up, Cristina was in her room trying to get out of the room.
So when Christina's in the room, is she locked in the room?
I don't know if the door was locked, but I know she could not open the door.
Is the hands?
Yes.
Did Rita, and let me go now, here to go right up until the August when you left. You ended up leaving the Thursday before this event took place, is that correct?
Yes.
Getting pretty close to that time, did you have a discussion with Rita about you babysitting Cristina and whether or not you were able to do that?
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
So she had come up to me and asked me.
All right, I'm going to stop.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Should I just say her name?
Please.
Okay, sorry. Rita came up to me and had asked me if I could watch her. I had let her know that I had to go into work for a few hours, and she kept asking me over and over. And finally, when the answer didn't change, it was no, obviously. She told me to leave Cristina in my car with the windows down because she does it all the time.
Boom. This woman's got to go to work, but that's going to get in the way of Rita's playtime. So just take Cristina with you to work, put her in the car and roll down the windows. I do it all the time. She's on the stand. She's under oath. Of course, the defense attorney objects. Now, come on, even if the car was locked, let's say, I know that's what they're saying, that Cristina locked the car and they were screwing around in more ways than one, looking for the spare key, looking for the fob, you name it. Break the window and get her out. Or how about this? She should have never been in the car in the first place. Do your thing when she goes to sleep at night.
Came up to me and had asked me if I could watch her. I had let her know that I had to go into work for a few hours, and she kept asking me over and over. And finally, when the answer didn't change, it was no, obviously. She told me to leave Cristina in my car with the windows down because she does it all the time.
Objections overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I think you interrupted you. You said you couldn't because you had to go to work.
Yes.
Pick it up from there.
So when I told her the first time, she kept asking me over and over again. And when she realized that the answer was not going to change from no, she had told me that I could still take her and leave her in my car with the windows down. And because she does it all the time. Because she does it all the time.
She did.
Rita.
You see Rita Pangalangan in the courtroom?
Yes, I do. She's right there.
Your Honor, on the record reflects she's identified the defendant, Rita Pangalangan.
Right there, where?
Oh, right over here in the
What is
white
she
shirt.
wearing?
It looks like a blue jacket and a white shirt.
It does.
Thank you. No further questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Senator.
Mr. Phillips.
Thank you. Ms. Honeycutt. Rita kicked you out of the house right before all this happened. Is that right?
It was more of I was moving. I had already had a house set up.
That's your opinion. She kicked you out of the house because you weren't paying rent and you brought bed bugs into her home. Is that fair to say?
No, sir.
And you also moved your boyfriend into the home with his whole family. Y'all had a very toxic relationship, and you were in her home, not paying rent, correct?
I do not agree with that. No.
No further. Nothing else, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Step down.
Thank you.
And of course, the attorney is trying to twist it. Get real. Get real. Allow your gifts because I just gifted memberships. That's right. It's raining memberships. Umbrella time. Now we hear from the babysitter. The babysitter. Preschool Granny says, wow, thank you, Brooks. We all do our part around here. Even me. Even me. Welcome, new members. The babysitter's testimony makes me sick. Pale Rider said, what state is this? South Carolina.
Say your name again for the record. Spread it like some.
Lindsay Lewis. Lewis.
All right, let's get you to pull the microphone close to you.
I feel very bad for this girl for a lot of reasons. One, I don't know her. But I feel like she has a lot of guilt. We'll get to that in her testimony. She was put in a very, very bad situation. And well, she seems very nervous on the stand. I don't blame her for that.
All right, and go ahead and tell the jury your name again
Lindsay
and last name.
Lewis, Lewis.
Okay, and where do you live, Ms. Lewis?
St. George now.
How long have you lived in St. George?
About a year.
Where did you live prior to that?
Walterboro.
And how long did you live in Walterboro?
Wow, a while.
How old are you now?
I am 22.
Let me ask you to go back to August the 2nd, 2019. How old were you on August the 2nd, 2019?
18.
Did you know Rita Pangalangan?
Yes, sir.
And how did you know her?
She was my child development teacher.
And what school was that?
Colleton.
Now, on August the 2nd, did you have a reason to go to Rita Pangalangan's home?
Yes, sir.
And what was that reason?
To meet to go over her daughter Christina's routine, about her everyday living and all that stuff, taking care of her.
Why did you do that?
Because I was gonna be watching Christina. I was supposed to watch Christina.
Did you have any particular interest in this? How did this come about?
Because I was gonna be a nurse, so they thought it would be best for me to kind of get the hang of her routine and all that. It might help me out, so I agreed, and that's when I went.
When you say they, who are you talking about?
Rita, and I think she spoke to my mother about it.
And so, did you go over to Rita's house for the purpose of learning how to take care of Christina?
Yes, sir.
It's a copy for your honor. Let me show you a picture of, State's Exhibit 13. First, I ask if you could identify that. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of how Christine looked?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that was when you knew her when you were 18, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And again, that is August, we're talking about August.
Poor girl. Look how she has her arms folded around her. You know, if you're a body language expert, which I am not, they always say that that pose is a self-protection pose. This has really highly affected her. And we'll get to why.
2nd, 2019.
Yes, sir.
At this point, Your Honor, we're moving into Exhibit, State's Exhibit 13. No objection, Your Honor. No objection.
It's admitted.
I appreciate it if you could go to State's Exhibit 13. All right, now, as you knew, Christine, first of all, tell me about her. She appears to be in a wheelchair. When
Yes,
you
sir.
were dealing with her at the house, tell me about her. Could she walk?
No, sir.
How did she get around?
She would crawl or on her knees or either on her hands, kind of like a baby.
I apologize. I didn't interrupt you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Kind of like a baby, sort of.
And her hands, especially on the right, looks like, can she fully grasp things?
No, sir.
What about her ability to talk? Was she verbal?
No, sir. She would babble maybe, but she couldn't speak full words like, we can.
And tell me, from the standpoint, it looks like she's actually smiling in that picture. Could she show emotion?
Yes, sir.
And this is, and you went over there on August the 2nd to learn how to take care of her.
Yes, sir. Pretty much.
What was involved in that, in taking care of Christina?
She has to get, certain baths, and you have to change her and, stuff like that.
When you say
Feed
change
her.
her, when you change her, what do you mean?
Like her diaper, I guess you say pamper or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, not to be gruesome. Not to be gruesome. Obviously, 13, even though she is smaller than most 13-year-olds, when you're talking about changing the diaper of a 13-year-old, that's that could get messy. You see, she's in puberty, okay? She's in puberty.
On August the 5th, there's actually a photograph of her in a diaper. Is that the condition she was always in?
Mm-hmm.
And I need to say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you had to change your diaper. What type of food did you give her?
I was told to give her Ensure nutrition drinks.
Anything else other than that?
No, not at the time.
All right.
Okay, cerebral palsy or not, and other limitations that Cristina had, she has teeth. She can eat. Someone educate me on this. Why just Ensure drinks and Kool-Aid? Why? And as far as a social worker, they can't come bang down your door and say, I'm here to help you with your child. If you have it set up on your own, you have it set up on your own. I do believe that over the years, there are a few people that should have called the authorities and said, you might want to go check out this house. And this girl and the last girl would be two of them. Don't get me going on Larry, because he's on trial too. I'm not blaming them. They're not the ones that put her in the car and left her there. I do believe that we all have a responsibility on this earth. And we have a very easy responsibility because we have a phone. We don't have to write letters. We don't have to go anywhere in person. We can do things online. We can make a phone call.
So you go over there on the 2nd with the idea of learning how to take care of her. What happens after that? What time do you get there, by the way?
I believe it was about noon. Noon, 1 o'clock maybe.
All right, so what happens after that?
Well, I just got there and we went over the routine pretty much, and then Rita asked me if I would watch Cristina while she went on a date with Larry.
Was that Larry King?
Yes, sir, her boyfriend.
Okay, so this is where it gets sticky, it gets hairy. She asked her to watch Cristina while she goes on a date with Larry. I had a question in here. Actually, not a question, more of a statement. I'm sorry, I don't know who put it. The defense did say that she has a choking hazard. Look, I'm not expecting old Rita to fire up the grill and make her a T-bone. She can have baby food. She can have applesauce. She can have bananas. She can have yogurt.
As of
What
my
time did
understanding.
she ask you to go, if you would watch it?
What time?
Yes, I know, you got there about noon, you went through the care, about what time did she ask if you could watch it?
I believe it was like around 5, 6 o'clock.
And did you?
Yes, sir.
And tell me about that. She left the house, I'm assuming, sometime around that afternoon?
Yes, sir. I would say about like around 5, 6 o'clock. That afternoon, she left.
Was anybody else there to take care of Cristina?
No, sir.
It was just you?
Mm-hmm.
Had you taken care of Cristina before?
No, sir.
Okay, to me, this is very important. She'd never taken care of her before. Now, let's see what old Rita does. We know she wants to do her meth and she wants to get her groove on.
This was on what day?
The second.
August the 2nd.
Yes, sir.
What day was that?
A Friday.
Did you see Rita Pangalangan again?
Not until Sunday afternoon.
After she went on a date with Larry, did she say, I'm gone and I'll be back Monday or anything like that?
She said that she texted me later that night to check on Cristina. I would say about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then she said she would be back the next morning on Saturday to go grocery shopping and stuff like that, but she never came. And
were there groceries in the house?
No, sir.
Just the insured drinks?
Mm-hmm. And I think there was a pitcher of Kool-Aid in there, maybe.
I wonder what was in that pitcher of Kool-Aid, because it's been reported that it was only there for Cristina. So all that was there was the insured drinks and a pitcher of Kool-Aid. You have to make sure her Kool-Aid cup is full. We heard that from the last witness. We have our friend Laska backstage. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, I'm driving. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Are you being careful? Do you have the hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel?
Actually, they're at midnight or 12 noon. But
Okay, you're buckled in.
I'm going to pull over here shortly. Okay, so I'm going to admit that I am late because I had to do other things this morning. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
So I have a master's degree in special education, and I was a special education administrator for a long time. And you'll have to tell me, was this child on an IEP and receiving educational services?
Not that we know of.
Okay, so then we can trace it all the way back to her first doctor she would have had when she was a baby, because cerebral palsy is obviously something you're born with. It doesn't develop later. And that typically doctors will give parents the opportunity to contact someone within the school district to begin services pretty much at birth. So like in my position, I would have known this child probably since she came home from the hospital.
Do you think that maybe because her mother was a teacher in child development, they didn't believe it was needed? And she was getting a check every month, a disability check from the state.
That's separate though.
Okay.
SPED services are not connected at all to state disability or federal disability payments. We don't know if a kid is qualified for those services or not. The school district pays for the services. And through the school district, we had to apply for funds from the federal government to cover the program.
And it was said on the stand that from the babysitter who was a student of Rita's, that she would bring Cristina to school with her often.
The mother would bring her?
Yep.
Okay, so no. The child should have been in a regular school receiving like special education care from, I mean, she's 13, so by then she should have had elementary school. And yes, I know she's nonverbal and whatever else, but we do have techniques to help kids grow despite their disabilities. So that makes me really sad because she should have actually been in a classroom despite the fact that she needs her diapers changed. We do that all the time. And as far as the Ensure and the Kool-Aid, okay, so I can't talk to the Kool-Aid. She may have been, what do you know if she was fed through the nose? Was she, or through like a stomach hose, not a hose, but a tube? Do you know that?
Neither of the witnesses mentioned anything about a feeding tube. Just to keep her cup full of Kool-Aid and Ensure. So I'm assuming that she drank.
She could swallow. Mm-hmm. It's possible, though, depending on how her digestive tract is, she couldn't actually digest hard food. But she should have still had the ability to like drink broth or, soft foods, Jello. Yeah. I don't know if I'm making sense, but this child was really not treated quite right.
No, and Raunchy Reality said there is currently a lawsuit on behalf of the estate of Cristina where they're suing Department of Social Services. And I've got a huge problem with this because Department of Social Services are not the ones that carried her out of the home, put her in the back of the car without the windows rolled down, which is horrible, and went up to the porch and played grab ass, did meth, went inside and knocked boots, and came out later and couldn't get in the car, and she was dead.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. But I guess my point is we have a family. I won't go into details, but very significant congenital disability she was born with. So we started seeing her, and typically with what she had, we didn't expect her to live past 4 or 5, maybe, just because it was so severe. But even as a school district, we had early childhood education involved in spending time with her and the family, especially to help them understand how to care for someone with such significant needs. So the fact that they didn't have that really is discouraging. Because by 13, she should have had 13 different IFSP meetings, which is the family when the kids are young. And then when they turn 5 and actually start school, it turns to an IEP, which is an individual education program, which would have been developed specifically to meet her needs so that she could learn and grow. Because even if cognitively she's, very low, we can still teach kids a lot of stuff. So that
I don't know. I don't know if the article I read is true because, it's on the internet. But it said that a lot of these services weren't used because her mother is a teacher.
So I guess I'm wondering if mom homeschooled or if she opted out as a homeschool educator. But I think still, well, I know because we've served homeschool parents before.
No,
But
she
that's
homeschools. She's an in-classroom teacher for child development, and she would bring her to the school with her, an actual school.
okay. Like a public school?
Yep.
Oh shit. Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, something smells fishy.
It's an oh shit moment, my friend. And this case must really hit you in a different way.
Well, it is.
You dedicated your life to helping children with special needs, and I applaud you for what you've done.
You don't need to do that because that was my calling, and I love working with kids, especially the ones that need the extra help. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm frustrated because this would never fly anywhere that I've ever taught. So anyway, and like I said, I'm an administrator, or I was an administrator, so I would have lost my job if this would have been in my district.
I'm going to find this lawsuit and send it to you and see what you think about it, because it's lengthy, but I know that eventually you'll get through it.
Yeah.
It might be kind of one of those where you read a paragraph and say, maybe tomorrow I'll get through it.
Yeah. But I just wanted your listeners to know that typically this would not fall through the cracks. A child with cerebral palsy would absolutely be in the classroom. We would absolutely be seeing to the child's needs. And yeah, we're not perfect. And yeah, we can't fix everything. But I and most of the people I've worked with in my career believe that children can learn something no matter how much they struggle and how long it takes and how many times we have to teach it over and over and over again. Because, yeah. Anyway, I'll get off my horse now and I'm going to finish driving. But I wanted to pull over and just tell you that she was really, if she didn't have those services, she probably was in a bad spot. But I do question her digestion, though. Maybe that is why she had the Ensure and the Kool-Aid. I don't know. I mean, I would have to see her. But sometimes with cerebral palsy, you do have intestinal issues and sometimes gastric, but I don't know.
And see, and that I understand, but the babysitters all say, Rita would say, keep her cup full of Kool-Aid, not feeding tube, but keep her cup full of Kool-Aid. It almost makes me wonder what the hell she put in the Kool-Aid. That was the rule for everybody. Keep her cup full of Kool-Aid. Now, mind you, how was she drinking it? She belly crawled everywhere.
Right.
She was locked in her room at night.
Right. And I heard the babysitter say she couldn't hold the cup or she couldn't close her hands on the cup. Is that right?
Yeah, she couldn't even turn a doorknob to get out.
Yeah. So I don't understand that either. Anyway, I'm going to hop off, but God bless you all. Have a good day, guys.
God bless you, and thank you for all you do. I know you say it's your calling, but not everyone answers their calling. And what you do is selfless and something that not everyone can do. My hat's off to you, my friend. Let's have a round of applause for our friend Laska, because we need more teachers like her, administrators.
Well, I have to tell you that
I apologize. I did not mean to cut her off. She just said, I meant to tell you. She can grab the link again. Let me put the link back in. I absolutely adore her.
In the fridge.
Right. So did she come back the next day? After she went on a date with Larry, did she say, I'm gone and I'll be back Monday or anything like that?
She said that she texted me later that night to check on Cristina. I would say about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then she said she would be back the next morning on Saturday to go grocery shopping and stuff like that, but she never came. And
Were there groceries in the house?
no, sir.
Just the insured drinks?
And I think there was a pitcher of Kool-Aid in there, maybe in the fridge.
Right. So did she come back the next day?
No,
That would be,
sir.
I guess, the
Saturday.
Saturday, correct? Did
Saturday.
she come back Saturday?
No, sir.
Did she call in?
No, sir.
Were you able to get in touch with her?
Through Facebook, I think it was.
I'm sorry?
Through Facebook, I think it was.
Did you talk to her again after that?
After Saturday?
Yes.
Not until Sunday, when she said that she would be, that Larry would drive her back to the house because she did not know how to drive his truck, and that he got sick with food poisoning. So that's why she was gone taking care of him.
So she had to stay out. For one, she can't drive his truck. What is she, a nurse now? She's got to nurse him back to health from food poisoning. But never mind the plethora of issues that Cristina has. Plethora. We have our friend Rexy backstage. Welcome, Rexy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, hon?
Oh, okay. I have a little bit of knowledge in this area because my daughter has a special needs child who is 14. She has a master's in special ed and she teaches SPED. And her daughter had a lot of issues. She's had to have a lot of surgeries. When she was real young, she couldn't keep anything liquid down. So they had to go in and flip her stomach or something so that she could keep liquids down. So now she can drink, and boy, does she drink and eat and eat and eat. But so I can kind of understand this whole situation. But my daughter would, no. She had one nurse that was with her for 5-6 years. And she just did wonders with her, but then she had to go take another job. So now Ray's back in regular school, but Ray will not sit still in school. So they have to, the nurse that's with her has to walk her up and down the halls and stuff like that. But she goes to 3 different types of therapy a week. So.
Well, because she did the right thing, but Rita didn't.
No, she didn't. She should have had that child in therapy, and she should have had her, at least had a nurse. I mean, they provide a nurse during the day, so there's no reason why.
I mean, the home health care nurse, I think the reason she didn't want the home health care nurse and things that are provided through our tax dollars because of the meth habit.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. My daughter doesn't have that problem, so. But she only trusted this one nurse because she had her for so long to stay in her home. So she was homeschooling her through the computer. The nurse was. But now that she's got a new nurse, she had to send her back to regular school because she doesn't trust them to be alone in her home. So, but yeah, that's just a horrible situation. My daughter she teaches SPED kids and she tells me all kinds of horror stories of these poor children. It's just horrible.
And from what I'm reading, she could have had a nurse. They even pay him not mileage. So I mean, it's not like every patient is across the street. So if you go 50 miles out, I mean, you're basically making part of your car payment with that money.
Yeah, and they provide transportation to take them back and forth to therapy too. They would have a bus or a van, whatever, pick her and the nurse up, take them to the therapy, and then bring them back home. And there's really no excuse for that.
My understanding is, if I'm reading correctly, and if the internet isn't lying to me, that everything, yeah, I believe everything I read on the internet, especially live. Everything was A-okay up until old Lair Bear entered the picture.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of when everything started falling apart. We start doing meth. We start doing things like that.
You just can't do that when you have a special needs child. My daughter, her kids come first. She's divorced now because her husband was an extreme narcissist. And unfortunately, she has to share 50-50 custody with him. And she worries about her the whole time she's at his house because she doesn't feel she's being watched enough over there. But no man would come between her and her children. And she's got the triplets and then a 15-year-old too. So, but Ray gets, she's got a special bed she has to sleep in because then she can close it at night. So she can't just get up and wander the house, But she usually stays in her room and watches Disney and comes out only when she wants more food, which is a lot. So I don't understand people at all anymore, but
I don't either. We had another case out of Louisiana, where a girl was, they called it shut-in syndrome. Now, this is something her mother called it, where she wouldn't get off the couch.
Yeah,
And
that one that melted into the couch.
She melted into the couch. She had been pooping her pants and peeing, and she was basically sitting in a pool of her own feces. Now,
I don't understand that.
Could walk and talk.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, who could you live in that house with her doing that even? I mean, no. I mean, even when Ray goes, you know it. It's like, okay, go to the bathroom.
And see, in this, they weren't counting on the video from what I'm gathering because I guess they were too high on love. I don't know. I don't know because he put her in the back of the car. Now
I don't understand why they did that.
I don't get it either. Maybe to tell her we're going to go somewhere and she's going to sit there for a little bit. I don't know. But they didn't even roll the windows down. Not that I mean, well, I can't say it doesn't make it any better. But
no, it would.
They do the meth and they play, grab ass, and they go inside into the air conditioning and do their thing. And then he's dead.
Yeah, that's just that does make you angry. All these children lately are making me angry.
Oh, yeah.
I've been watching that Henry Dinkins trial, and that man.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on what the judge is going to decide, though, I guess.
Well, that won't be too hard. That won't be too hard at all because, I mean, they have it.
It's been days, though.
Well, judges take a lot longer than juries.
Yeah, that judge was kind of slow moving, if you ask me. But yeah, that's horrible because having experienced it, because I stayed, and when my daughter was pregnant with her triplets, and she had to be in the hospital, bedbound. I've stayed with Ray and her older brother for 3 or 4 months, and that was before Ray could walk. She started out; she would hop on her knees. And that's how she got around. And then she finally started walking. But yeah, so I know how it is. But you can't leave them for a second. I don't care if they're wheelchair bound or not. They still, like her one triplet was born with a lot of complications. And so even when she came home at 7 months, she had a feeding tube. And you had to keep an eye on that at all times and make sure the other rowdy kids didn't go over there and knock it out or, So it's horrible that people have these children and then don't take care of them. But I just thought I'd let you know that because she, she worked hard to get her master's and she teaches special ed but she's so frustrated with the system right now. She says it's horrible. She's in Tennessee and she said the school system is just. She's a specialist in reading, teaching kids to read, and they're wanting them to do phonics, and she does not believe in phonics. She says that doesn't teach them to read. That doesn't teach them comprehension. So she gets very upset a lot. So.
Well, when I was in school, and I didn't have any special needs that I know of, we did SRA and phonics, and I have great reading comprehension. I don't know what they're teaching in schools now.
Well, she says phonics is okay to a point, but you've got to teach them other methods, or I don't know. She specializes in it. I don't. She talks about it. And I go, oh, okay. I learned to read somehow. I don't know how. I don't remember.
It is a crazy, crazy world, and the children have been lost in the dust.
Yes, exactly. And even high schoolers and stuff, I worry about how educated they really are coming out of high school.
Well,
just seems.
It's. I mean, have you? If you come across a younger person and you're paying with cash, and let's say the bill is $9.25, and you hand them
I know.
and a quarter, it confuses the hell out of them.
I know, my husband did that one day, and the girl just couldn't handle it. He had to say, okay, give me the quarter back. I'll just give me the change. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, I said, I'm glad I'm old, and I'll be long gone when these people grow up and they're running this country, if we're still here at that time, because it's going to be a mess.
It is horrible. Let's look at the rest of the babysitter's testimony, and then we're going to get to Larry.
Okay, well, I'll jump down. I just want to let you know that.
Okay, you don't have to do that, and God bless you.
Thank you. Well, bless her. She is a wonderful person.
Well, she was raised by you. She didn't. She came by it naturally, my friend.
I give the credit to her father, but okay. I guess I could take a little bit. All right, I'll get down and I'll listen to the rest of the show.
All right, love you, girlfriend.
Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.
So did she come back the next day?
No,
sir. I guess,
Saturday.
Saturday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Saturday.
Did she come back Saturday?
Mm-mm. No, sir.
Did she call in?
No, sir.
Were you able to get in touch with her?
Through Facebook, I think it was.
I'm sorry?
Through Facebook, I think it was.
Did you talk to her again after that?
After Saturday?
Yes.
Not until Sunday, when she said that she would be, that Larry would drive her back to the house because she did not know how to drive his truck, and that he got sick with food poisoning. So that's why she was gone taking care of him.
At any point in time, did she call and ask if it was okay if you took care of the child?
No, sir.
Didn't hear from her after she called to check in Friday night?
No, sir.
Did you ever, by the way, did you see Larry later on?
Later on, when?
The next day?
Mm-mm. On Saturday? No, sir.
Sunday?
Sunday? No, sir. I know he was out there. I could hear music or something. I know somebody was out there. And I'm guessing it was him dropping her off.
Yes. My real question was, did you ever find out if he was actually sick?
Sick? No.
No what?
No, sir. I did not find out if he was actually sick.
Okay. And then when did you, in fact, see Rita again?
Again, when? Oh, that would be Sunday.
Sunday, about what time was that?
Then the afternoon. I would say 5, 6 o'clock, maybe.
Okay, so with a babysitter who has never been alone with her before, she leaves out on Friday. She says Larry has food poisoning, and she doesn't show back up until Sunday between 5 and 6.
Tell me also, did you also put the child to bed? Did you also put Cristina to bed?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Did you see anything unusual?
Yes, sir, I did.
What was that?
I came later to find out it was bed bugs.
401, 403, 404.
She had bed bugs. she had bed bugs. So the hygiene was obviously not up to par. Of course, the defense is calling objection. The judge is going to say overruled, and their defense is that they didn't remember she was in the car. Just like Sarah Boone didn't remember that her boyfriend was in the suitcase. Or Billy Joe Howell saying, well, when people get effed up, they do dumb shit. When the outcome is death, someone has to pay. Someone has to lose their freedom and be held accountable. Now we have bed bugs.
All previously given to your honor and the defense and already argued. All that was in the statement and all of that is already discussed. Argued.
Not overrule the objection.
Thank you. Please answer any questions the defense has. Thank you.
Where are you going, ma'am?
Oh, I don't know.
Pardon?
Sorry, I didn't know what he was saying.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You knew Cristina from before, correct?
Yes, in the classroom.
Right. Rita would bring Cristina to the classroom.
Yes, sir.
And when they're in the classroom, they were having fun. You had fun in the classroom.
I guess so. Yeah.
Everybody seems safe in the classroom.
Okay, this is the defense attorney, and it's an LOL moment. Listen to the defense. When you were in Rita's classroom, did you have fun? What's that have to do with it? Nobody put her in the car and left her there for almost 6 hours.
Yeah.
There was no
Yes, sir.
concerns when she would bring Cristina with her to school.
No, sir. I'm not sure.
And she taught you, Rita did?
Yeah, for a little period of time.
And you felt comfortable enough with her as your teacher that you wanted to help, potentially becoming a nurse, to help take care of her child.
Yes, at the time.
And were you aware that through her condition with, as far as the pediatrician, that she had a choking hazard, that she had to drink Pediasure or Puree food? Did you know that?
That she had a choking hazard?
In other words, she couldn't eat whole food.
No, I did not know that at the time. I was just told she was supposed to drink Ensures.
And there were boxes of those in the home.
In the pantry.
Right, there were plenty of those.
Yeah, there's a few.
At that point, Rita texted you to say that she was checking in, but you said you didn't hear back from her.
At what point?
Did you call anyone about that?
Call anyone?
Yes.
You said?
Did you call anyone about not hearing from Rita?
No. Did I call anyone about not hearing from her? No.
And why is that?
I just figured she'd be back. I mean,
Because you felt comfortable. You had control of the situation.
All right, so now we have some verbal judo that I do not like. Okay? So he says, and you can see Rita right there, she's very satisfied with this line of questioning. Why didn't you call somebody? Is it because you felt comfortable? And you felt comfortable in her classroom. And she's like, because I thought she would be back. She'd been talking to her on Facebook. She didn't think she was just going to abandon her. She had no business taking care of Cristina in the first place, let alone being left alone with her for a weekend. What a ridiculous argument.
what point?
Did you call anyone about that?
Call anyone?
Yes.
You said?
Did you call anyone about not hearing from Rita?
No. Did I call anyone about not hearing from her? No.
And why is that?
I just figured she'd be back. I mean,
Because you felt comfortable, you had control of the situation.
at the time,
You did, didn't you?
I was a little confused, but yeah, I mean,
And you were taking good care of Christine?
yeah.
No further questions. Just one very briefly. Did Rita tell you, by the way, that she couldn't be given solid foods because she choked to death?
She did not tell me that. All she told me was not to give her insures. That's what she told me.
Nothing else.
And to me, that's another boom moment. Did she ever tell you that she would choke to death on solid foods? No, she just told me to give her insures and, of course, Kool-Aid. What an insane case. We have a lot of new people in here. Before we get to the next segment, let's tell all of our new friends, old friends, whatever, above you, behind you, hello, and thank God it's Thursday. So glad you guys are here, and that you don't only look for the cases that I would consider to be the hot topics, but that you're here every morning to talk about cases that a lot of people don't even know about. You guys are amazing people. Uh-oh. Pat is gifting memberships. Get your umbrellas. It's raining. Allow your gifts. You will never know when someone is going to make it rain. All right. On the stand here is Larry, or as Rita called him on her Facebook, her Larry Hairy Bear. Lair Bear. Okay? Yep. He took the stand. Let's listen to what he has to say. I will be interrupting his testimony from time to time because call me old-fashioned, call me old school, but someone that said I had no idea when he's the one that put Cristina in the car as Rita had the car door open is pretty damn stupid to even claim that. No idea. You put her in the car.
I use daily to function. And, it was just a part of my life. And,
when you say you used as a functioning addict, tell me what you mean.
I had to have it to go.
Okay. I sped it up a little bit because we already know it's Larry. We don't need to see him get sworn in. This is where he's trying to get sympathy for the jury from his meth habit. Okay? Buckle up. You will not be impressed.
I had to have it to work. I used it to do anything I done.
And were you able to work when you used the substance?
I was.
Were you able to drive or whatever, just to meet your normal obligations?
I did.
Okay. And what she talked about tolerance. Had you used enough of this stuff to develop a tolerance to it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you said day to day, as a functional drug addict, you used enough of this substance to keep you going and allow you to function normally?
I did.
Okay. And did that condition, and I understand you said you'd been in a 12-step program and you had sought some help prior to that, but did that condition continue at least off and on up until the day we're here talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And subsequently, you've gotten to where you described today. Is that right?
Thank God. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, well, praise baby Jesus that he's in a 12-step program and got off putting battery acid in his damn system. Explain what drug makes you put a special needs child that can't walk, can't talk in the back of a car and leave her there for almost 6 hours. I don't think that's part of the 12 steps, Larry.
Do you know, lady seated at that table over there, Miss Pangalangan? I think I'm saying it right.
I do.
Okay. And how do you know her?
We used to date.
Okay. And when did y'all first commence to date?
2015.
I love that. We used to date. Oh, I bet you're not dating anymore.
Okay. And did that last as a continuous relationship up until the day on this, or had y'all had times apart?
No, we dated for a few years, and we had broke up 6 months prior to, we started back talking about 5 weeks up to this happened. Yes, sir.
So y'all, you say you started back talking about 5 weeks prior to this day?
Yes, sir.
The day in question?
August 5th. Yes, sir.
Did y'all live together?
No, sir.
So he knows the date, but didn't remember that Cristina was in the back of the car. And love is always in the air for Rita because it didn't take her too long when she got out on bond to find a new pogo stick.
Okay. And you know where her home was?
Yes, sir.
About how far was that from your home?
Probably 15 miles.
15 miles or so?
Maybe, yes.
And you knew but you knew this little girl?
Yes, sir.
As far as the child goes, had you observed this, the other defendant, I'm just not going to try with the name, but had you observed the other defendant, her interactions with this little girl?
I did.
Okay, and was there anything about what you saw with the way she treated the child or took care of the child that caused you concern?
No, sir.
If you had seen things like that where you thought caused you concern, what would your reaction have been?
I would have got away from her. I would have left her alone and probably reported her.
If you were in a position where you did observe a child, not hers, but just someone else out in the world, a child who was mistreated or treated badly at the hands of another person, a man or a woman, what would your reaction be?
I'd address it immediately.
What do you mean by that?
It depends.
He would address it immediately. She was in a burning up car for 5 hours and 41 minutes. What is immediately? Half a second or 5 hours and 41 minutes? He put her in the car.
If I seen a man abusing a child in any way, I'd
stop it.
Yeah, I'd stop it.
On this particular day, you didn't I noticed you didn't watch this tape record. Is that right?
I didn't.
Have you ever watched it?
No, sir.
You lawyers have had it forever. Why haven't you watched it?
So I just can't.
Even prepping to come here today, did you watch it?
No, sir.
The state has the witnesses for the state have attributed statements to you and the other defendant, which say that she spent the night before this child died at your home. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was Cristina there also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that you had talked to or been involved with Miss Pangalangan. Help myself. In the past, what was your relationship with this child?
She was just my girlfriend's daughter.
Did you? This is a child who had special needs and needed special care. Did you wash this child? Did you bathe this child? Somebody did. Did you?
No, sir.
And tough, but this child was in a diaper. This young girl wore a diaper and wasn't able to clean herself. Did you clean this child? Did you change your diaper? Were you responsible for things like that?
No, sir.
Did you feed this child?
No, sir.
Did you put her to bed or get her up in the morning?
No, sir.
Were you financially responsible? Did you pay any child support or anything for this child?
No, sir.
And this may have been answered, but was she your daughter biologically or anything like that?
No, sir.
No, she was not his biological daughter. Yes, he had a very active drug habit, which we're all supposed to give him a round of applause because he's put weight on, he's doing the 12 steps. He says he was not financially responsible for her. Did he have any questions for Rita when she was gone for weekends at a time? Hey, who's watching Cristina? Because I'm no doctor, but when I was there, I noticed she was in a wheelchair, and when she wasn't in the wheelchair, she was crawling around on the floor, and you have to change your diapers. See, these are questions you would be asking your new boo. Here's one of our favorite boos who is backstage, Muscles and Mascara. Hello, Muscles.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, good, girlfriend. This case is maddening.
Wow, it is. I have purposely not watched this yet. I was going to start watching the trial, and I couldn't bring myself to do it, but now I'm going to have to go back and watch. But I love how this guy comes up and he's just going to play the hero. It's my favorite thing to witness people that, I would certainly address it with if it's another man abusing a child. Well, but you're the one that did it. So what should we do to you then? That's my question. What a pathetic piece of crap.
Well, I'd say life with no parole. That's what they're going for. Murder, unlawful conduct towards a child, and a conspiracy to commit murder.
Yeah, I think the days that we can go back to public taking care of their own, I think is the days that we stop seeing this stupid behavior that people are doing every day. We're not learning anything by letting them sit in prison, watch TV, and have access to tablets and cell phones and everything else. I mean, what is prison turned to? It's turned to a freaking romper room. And nobody's learning anything.
No, it's not for rehabilitation unless they're going to be out in a few years. We saw yesterday with Leilani, she got her GED. She's going to go to college, which is a waste because I don't see any jury saying she didn't do what happened to Quentin.
Yeah. Yeah. And, people applauding and saying all that stuff. I'm sorry. She lost her rights to education and to be a regular human being the moment that she took her child's life and threw him in a freaking trash dumpster. She doesn't deserve anything but a trash dumpster herself. I'm sorry. Call it rude, call it crude, and call it heartless. I don't care. But an eye for an eye is what is what we built our world around, and it was a much better place to live than it is today.
Yeah. And personally, I don't want the public to dispense their own justice because, well, they get it wrong.
Sure.
But I'm sick of this softer, gentler society. When you're in the jail, when you're in prison, you don't need to be sitting there taking selfies of yourself and dicking off and put them on the chain gang, take them out to the farms, pick up trash.
Absolutely. And letting them have open communication to the public outside the prison walls or jail walls. What happened to you get visitation for 30 minutes or an hour a day or whatever it was for so many days out of the week, and your family could come see you, but now you get to just text people and lay around in your bed by yourself and just wait for that 1 hour that you get to come out, but you have outside access. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I read this article about this prisoner. He's in there for the P word, pedophilia, and he has a tablet, and somehow, because they have a lot of time on their hands, okay, they can figure stuff out. Criminals are not dumb, okay, they're not.
No.
And he was communicating with a 12-year-old girl. That seems to be his favorite flavor, okay, if you know what I mean. They took his tablet for 18 hours and warned him not to do it again or he would lose his tablet for a year.
Oh, the fact that we even talk about the fact that they did have tablets for them to, I mean, that is pathetic. We have really become a society of acceptance. We have really become a society of let's not offend anybody and let's give everybody 72 chances and then stand there and shake our heads and go, I wonder what happened to this person when they commit the most heinous crimes ever. And we sit there and wonder what happened. I mean, I don't really know what people need to figure it out, but what we have going on right now in this world is not working. And when you look at what the privileges that people have, your privileges are revoked the moment you do something that you commit a crime. And you hurt a child, you deserve zero privileges whatsoever. The fact that you get to eat, live, and breathe is enough privilege as it is. If you hurt another human being, you don't deserve those rights.
Disgusting. In his testimony, OJ and I were watching it yesterday, trying to get ready for this show. I had to stop it several times and, work on something else because it's maddening. He put her in this car, Muscles. He put her in the damn car.
Yeah.
And now he wants sympathy from the jury because he's not on meth anymore?
Yeah, good for you. Good. I hope that you weigh 350 pounds by the time you get, whatever. That's fine. By the time you meet your demise, I hope you weigh 350 pounds. It'll never excuse the fact that you said yourself that you would stop it, you would intervene, whatever the wording was that you said you would do if another man was hurting a child. But what would you do to yourself? Because you're the piece of crap that did this to this young lady. And you sat by and allowed it to happen. You participated. You put her there.
He put her in there. He carried her out of the house and put her in there so they could hang out and do their own thing.
And turned around and waved? Really? You sick piece of crap.
And adjusted his balls.
Yeah. He's getting himself prepared, I guess. The fact that these two, right? Oh. And to think about her being teacher of the year, to think about she specializes in this kind of education and she chose to treat her own child this way. It is mind-boggling. I mean, it is truly, and people can use the excuse drugs. They can use it all. No, those are choices. Those are choices that you chose to make. There's plenty of people in this world, and we've heard two people up here talking about it today, that sacrifice and do what they have to for their child and for their children that they feel called to do things for. They do it. And they do it with pleasure, and it gives them honor to do it. Those people, my friends, get a free pass right on to heaven. People like this one right here on the stand, and the freaking mother of this child goes straight to hell. That's how this works. Exactly. And in between times, they don't deserve privileges of nothing.
Because it's really hard. They all find Jesus in the jail or get clean in the jail. Those aren't true. They feel sorry for themselves in a lot.
Exactly.
These aren't true making amends.
Yeah. These people get a piece of white bread and bologna, and it's too much. That's my opinion. All you did was give this young lady that we know right out of us Kool-Aid and freaking Ensure. Maybe we should let them live on that for the rest of their lives too. And you get 2 a day, and that's it.
Drives me damn nuts. And there was a time in this country where this line of questioning would have never been allowed. It would have said, we don't care what they were on. It's the end result. Listen to what he has to say. You're going to love this, Muscles.
Regardless, the night before, they spent that night at your home. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And tell me how in the morning you got up and you and did you go to bed that night?
No, sir. I've been up all night.
And was that partly due to that methamphetamine use?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you got up in the morning, did you and the other defendant have a conversation which led to what we saw on the porch? That is, you carrying the child out.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen what that I don't want you quoting it, but just tell them what the conversation was about.
Just about her being involved with somebody else, and we had talked about it, and some things broke my heart, and I just asked her to leave. And
all right. So it was about basically what you would call infidelity. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So not only is Rita horrible to her special needs daughter, she's a cheater?
So he's saying that during this time frame that's what was going on when they were having these conversations, that he had asked her to leave. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
This is when they were at his house.
At his house.
There's not enough springs in his pogo stick, so she had another one on the side, and she's got another one now.
Yeah. And let me just say, Peas in a Pod said a great comment a second ago and took the words right out of my mouth. Women, that if you put a man above your children, you need to self-examine yourself, sis, because let me tell you something right now. The fact that the good Lord give you the ability to birth that child is a privilege in its own. And I'll be damned if you take that for granted and put a man in front of that child that you were given the privilege to have, because there's so many in this world that don't have that opportunity. And the fact that you choose another human over your child is absolutely disgusting. And that means at any levels that your child is born at, and it doesn't matter the needs that kid needs. It doesn't matter whatever you got to go through. It's called sacrificing. And that's what mothers do. And if you do anything outside of that, you are not a mother. You don't deserve the title to be mother. And you don't deserve to have that child. You give that child to somebody who will care for it. That is not that kid's fault. And that kid never asked to be born into this world. And that goes for everybody that hurts a child, period. Pathetic.
Period. So again, we have adults that are more worried about their own anatomy than what's going on with the child around them. So he's more worried about this dude having a bigger pogo stick than him. He's not even asking about Cristina. This is a 13-year-old girl that has to wear diapers. She's in puberty. I don't have to explain what all that encompasses. She also has bed bugs in her bed.
God.
And in the course of that conversation, did she confirm that, in fact, that had happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when she said that, yes, that had happened, what was your reaction?
I was just hurt.
You were hurt?
I was hurt.
And when that was your reaction, what did you do then? I mean, what did you say, or what did you do?
I asked her to leave, told her I'd call her later.
Okay. Did you lose your temper? Did you smash anything? I mean,
absolutely not.
You're a big fella. I mean, you were a big fella even then, but you're big now.
Absolutely not.
Okay. You didn't break anything in the house? Did you grab her or shake her or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. You asked her to leave?
Yes, sir.
And did she agree to leave?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then what happened next?
I put a child in the car.
All right. Well, you say you put the child in the car. Did you carry her out?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And why were you the one to carry her out?
Rita has a extra kidney, has a lot of health trouble, and her daughter was getting heavy for her, and so she asked me to carry her.
Okay.
Now, I've heard of people making up cancer and lupus, but this is a new one for me. She has an extra kidney?
Yeah, never heard of that either. And I'm trying to figure out. So that means that she's not ever able to take care of her and lift her and do anything then. So how's she taking care of her when she's at home alone with her?
Mm-hmm.
She's not. So
then they go to hugging and kissing and playing grab ass on the porch, and they go inside and play romper room. So he forgets that he just put the child in the car. We're still talking about 5 hours and 41 minutes on a hot day. Her screwing around with someone else in the meth is not a get out of jail free card.
No.
How many of you in here? We have 379 people have an extra kidney. How many kidneys do you have, Muscles?
Last time I checked, I only have 2.
Okay, you have 2?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So far. That meth might make it grow more, though, so who knows?
That could be it.
Yep.
So he goes inside and he drains his balls and basically forgets that he's got her daughter in the back of the car.
And thinking back, I know you say you hadn't watched that tape, but thinking back, would there be anything inappropriate, wrong, or rough about the way you would have treated that little disabled girl?
Man, absolutely not. Never.
Can you imagine a circumstance where that would be your reaction?
No, sir.
Okay. So you stated you carried your child out, and we've seen the tape. Placed her in whose car?
Rita's car.
Okay. And where did you put her in the car, if you recall?
Behind the driver's seat, on the driver's side, in the rear.
Okay. And you stepped away then? Did mom come and like get her settled or seatbelt or something like that?
I think so, yes, sir.
Okay. And think carefully. Well, if you need to. Was the car running when you put the little girl in?
Absolutely.
Okay. You say you're from Walterboro, is that right?
Yes, sir.
We know, we've heard, and everybody else knows it gets hot in Walterboro, yes?
Yes, sir.
And you grew up here. I know
He swears under oath that the car was on, air conditioner running. I did not see anyone in this video go to the driver's side and start the car. At what point did the car stop then? We're still talking about 5 hours and 41 minutes. Do you believe the car was running or not, Muscles? We're not on the degree and we're not Judge Newman.
No, I do not believe the car was running. If the car was running, the car inside a temperature car of the car would not have been 135 at whatever they called it. I don't even remember what you called that scenario, but nonetheless, no, it couldn't have been running, or she wouldn't have died if that was the case. Let's just be honest. It was not running. And furthermore, they talk about this, they couldn't find the keys. Well, if it was running, then you knew where the keys were. And if it was running, then you knew this car, what model car was this?
Or break the damn window.
Exactly. But the car was not running because you claimed you couldn't find the keys. You were looking for an extra set of keys. Well, then that tells me one set was in the car if you were looking for a key fob. If it's a push button start car, there's a lot of these vehicles that have special safety features. And in order for mine to work, I do have to have the second key fob, because if I try to lock it while the car's running, guess what won't happen? It won't run unless if I remote start it and don't actually start the engine. It's a safety feature. So I call BS on every bit of this if it's a key fob.
100%. And even with the air conditioner on, with it not moving, it's still hot in there.
State went to great lengths to prove to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that if you park a car in the sun in the summertime in Walterboro, it gets really hot. It gets too hot. Were you aware of that before the scientists testified?
Yes, sir.
You figure everybody in Walterboro who's got a car knows that happens, whether or not they hear from that scientist?
Absolutely.
All right. Would you have left that little girl in that car if that engine wasn't running and the AC wasn't on?
Never. Never.
Even with your feelings hurt, sir?
Never.
All right. So you put the little girl in the car and you say the engine was running. Can you tell me what happened next? Just next.
I went back inside.
Okay, well, did you and she have a Let me ask you this. Up until the time y'all discovered that little girl's body, was there anything unusual or scary about this day?
No, so it was another normal day. I thought everything was, I had no idea that anything was.
A normal day, with the exception of your main side piece telling you that she has a different pogo stick on the side. Some people aren't really cool with that, and they don't, they kind of get worried about getting diseases.
Yeah.
But it's
Absolutely.
just pretty much a normal day. I mean, let's face it. If your husband came in and said, "Hey, I've been cheating," would you put your son in the back seat, turn on the car, and go inside and try to play makeup?
Wrong answer, bud. Wrong answer.
Wrong answer. I have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to find you a suitcase, and it's not going to be Sarah Boone style.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you can get back in your vehicle and your shit will be in the front yard. You can come get it at your leisure. It'll be there till you get it. So,
Yeah. And have that bitch come over here and clean my fucking house and do your laundry while you're at it.
that's facts. Yep. Yep. That way I can shake her hand.
Were you trying to memorize the events moment by moment?
No, sir.
Are there things about that day that you may be a little unclear on or foggy at this point 4 years down the road?
Absolutely.
Well, if somebody told you they watched that tape and you and Rita had a conversation in the yard after that child was put in the car, is that something you would deny or something you would just say, I don't recall it?
No, I remember.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you about that conversation.
Asking her, I just asked her to leave and told her I'd call her later. That's all I asked.
Okay. And did she, in fact, get in the car and leave?
I didn't know, sir.
Excuse me?
No, sir.
Okay. What did happen?
She followed me back inside.
What were y'all talking about at that? You'd ask her to leave. She didn't leave. What was going on between you?
She was just trying to plead with me and talk to me and just trying to make things right.
Okay. And did y'all talk back and forth about it?
A little bit, yes, sir.
Okay. You said you had your feelings hurt?
Yeah.
Well, you said she's heartbroken.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And while y'all was in the house, we just put the cards on the table. Did you make up?
We did.
Okay. And you decided to move on?
Yes, sir.
All right. At some point in time, and you don't have to give me minute by minute because ladies and gentlemen of the jury have seen the tape. They know how long things took and et cetera. But at some point in time, did the defendant at a other counsel table, did she attempt to leave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happened when she tried to leave?
She came back in and told me her keys were locked in her car.
Said the keys were locked in the car?
Yes, sir.
And what was your reaction to that? Not my problem. You cheated on me. Get out of here.
No, I tried to help her get in the car. I didn't know that anything other than that was wrong, to be honest.
Okay. Was the car still running?
The car was running.
Were you worried about the situation?
No, sir. Not really.
Okay. And if you had known, and I know you've seen what we've all seen, if you'd had any inkling that that's what was going to happen or was happening, what would your reaction be?
I would have knocked that window out of that car and got that child. I had no idea.
Oh. So you made an effort to get the child out of the car, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Or to get the car open. Were you successful in that?
Not right away, I wasn't.
Okay. And how you tried is not important, but do you recall what you did to try to get into the car?
Some of it, yes, sir.
What did you do?
I tried to get in. I think I tried to pry the door. I tried to offer to knock out the sunroof, but Rita didn't want me to do that.
You say you offered to knock out the sunroof?
Yes, I did.
Not
The keys are locked in the car.
Right.
He tries to pry open the door, which means he's not the brightest light in the tanning bed.
No.
You ever tried to pry open a car door?
No.
He was going to knock out the sunroof, but old Rita doesn't want to replace a sunroof. They go back in the house, do some more meth, and try to contemplate how to get in the car because according to him, the car is running.
But the keys are locked in the car. Not that the keys were locked in the car with the ignition on, which would be the normal thing people would say if a car was running or whatever the case may be.
And in that video, I haven't seen anyone go to the driver's side and start the car.
Nope.
So if it's a fob, get the fob.
Well, and then even if they try to use, it was let's say it was remote start and they remote started it, that cuts off after 15 or 20 minutes, depending on the setting of your vehicle. So therefore, even if it truly was running, it could have been a cooling factor at one point in time. But when we're talking about 5.5 hours, folks, it kind of goes away at that point. So They can
And she doesn't want the sunroof broken.
No.
Because obviously glass is going to come in and could possibly cut Cristina. Well, what's worse, stitches or death?
Yeah, or the driver or the passenger side window, if that's the case. You could do it away from where she's at in the front. You could bust out that window and not worry about hitting her with any kind of glass. But besides the fact that she says that she's looking, her keys are locked in the car, then that means you didn't remote start your vehicle because no one saw you place the keys or your key fob in the car. So therefore, that's not an accurate statement either. So that didn't even happen. So.
No.
Forget
and
that.
Supposedly she has an extra kidney, but he has no balls because if he wants to save that child, he would have done it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And it's funny how she can go and have all these different men and everything else. And she was talking about how she can't carry a child with her third kidney, but she can perform sexual favors with a third kidney. That's interesting because usually that I would imagine that would be a painful experience. Just the thought, but third kidney, my ass.
Third kidney, my ass.
It's your car.
Not my car.
Okay, but you offered to knock out the sunroof, and she said no.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what she did say other than just no? Or it's 4 years later. I know you didn't remember.
She
Repeat the question.
Did you ask her if she want? Your answer was, excuse me, earlier you stated.
Repeat the question.
I'm gonna take a different question if it's okay.
Pardon?
I'm gonna take a different question if it's okay, Your Honor. Your answer earlier was you offered to knock out the sunroof. Is that right?
I did.
After offering to knock out the sunroof, did Miss Pangalangan respond? No, I'm not asking what her response was. I'm asking, did she respond?
She did.
And after her response, did you knock out the sunroof?
No, sir.
Thank you. Did y'all then come up with a different plan?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
She said she had a spare key at her home.
Okay. And were you at this point just done with the operation, or do you continue to try to help?
I continued to try to help.
What did you do to try to help?
I went and took her to get another spare key.
Okay. And when you left, was the engine running?
Yes, sir.
And was it running when you got back?
Yes, sir.
And did you think that AC was on?
Yes, sir.
When you got back and you had that key fob, and did y'all retrieve a key fob?
She did.
Okay. And when y'all got back, were you able to pop the, just pull up with the key fob? That solved the problem. Did you pull up, hit the fob, and unlock the door?
No, sir.
Why not?
I think the batteries were weak in it. It wasn't working.
Okay.
It wouldn't unlock the door.
So y'all hit it, unlock, and it wouldn't unlock it?
Yes, sir.
Had a real problem now, or at least she had a real problem. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
What did you do to address that?
I called Robert from Stokes Lock and Key.
Do you know someone there?
Yes, sir. Robert, the owner.
Okay. So you called the owner of Stokes Lock and Key. And what was the purpose of that call?
So he could help me get in the vehicle.
And if in fact you made that call, would that be reflected on the videotape? I mean, were you in the yard when you made that?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you called Stokes Lock and Key and you spoke with a person you knew there and asked how to get in the car. Is that your testimony?
Yes, sir.
And what did he tell you?
Told me it was an emergency key and a key fob.
Okay. And the emergency key and the key fob, people may know what that means, but apparently you didn't at the time. So what does...
Okay, before I get to this line of BS, anyone that's had a car wreck before or knows anything about cars knows our windshields, sunroofs, you name it, are not regular glass. So when they break, they, like Marisay said, they almost peel away.
Yep, absolutely.
They don't shatter like a window or a mirror or a glass vase.
No, and all of these little things now, intricacies with vehicles and things, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why they have a different type of glass than what they probably had in the past with these things. Like there's proven reasons why, and it's for safety. And I was getting ready to say something about this emergency key because, again, I've not watched any of this, so I have no idea. But this key, I was going to say for a PSA moment, if you don't know it, there are keys key fobs in your, or I'm sorry, emergency keys in your key fobs, please learn where they are if you don't know. So I'm glad that we're going to listen to this piece. I can't wait to hear what he says about it.
What does that mean?
It was a key inside the fob that you separate it and pull out a key.
And you were never able to unlock it automatically.
Never, never.
But after speaking with the gentleman at the locksmith company, what did you do?
He told me to pop off, told me to retrieve the key. I got the key and told me to pop off the face off the door handle socket, unlock the car.
And were you eventually able to unlock the car?
Yes, I did.
And it wasn't with that key fob?
No, sir.
It's just old fashioned, stick it in and turn?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm not going to ask you to describe what you saw when you got in the car. People saw that on the video and in the pictures themselves. But when the child got out, when the child was taken from the car and you knew she was deceased, what was your immediate reaction?
Call 911.
Did it occur to you that maybe you were in trouble?
No, sir.
Anytime during the course of this investigation, speaking with police officers, speaking with anybody else who talked to you about it, were you like, oh my goodness, I need to cover something up?
Never had idea, man. No,
Excuse
sir.
me?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So you called 911, and when the information you gave them, was it correct?
Yes, sir.
And when law enforcement arrived, did you talk to them?
Yes, sir.
And was the information that you gave them correct?
Yes, sir.
Before law enforcement arrived, if we watch that video, it looks like the front door is open. You reach in for a minute. Are you grabbing something out of that front seat of the car?
No, sir. I reached in to turn that car off.
How'd you turn it off?
A button.
It's got a push button on it?
Yes, sir.
So you watch that tape. We should see you reach in and turning that car off.
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you. The vehicle itself, are the windows tinted in that car?
Yes, sir.
Are they a dark tint or just like
Very
that
dark.
comes from the factory?
Very dark.
Can you see in that car?
No, sir.
When law enforcement got there and later they took you down to the police station, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did anybody ever tell you, you don't have to talk to us, you got a right to remain silent, all that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
And did you sign the form and say, I understand it?
Absolutely.
And then did they keep talking to you for several hours?
Yes, sir.
Did you talk until they said you don't need to talk anymore?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever lie, try to cover up for yourself?
Never.
One moment, John. You're charged with murder. Did you murder that child?
No, sir.
You carried that child to the car and put her in the car. You're accused of causing great bodily injury to this child. Do you feel like you handled her correctly and appropriately?
Yes, sir, I did.
I asked you earlier, is there any way you'd cause harm to any child?
Never. I love children.
And for some ungodly reason, I have no idea still, you're charged with conspiracy. You're aware of that?
Jury is disregard the comment of counsel. Pose questions.
Thank you. You're also charged with conspiracy. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you and, I'll say Rita, with no disrespect. Did you and Rita get together and plan some way to kill this child?
Absolutely not.
Did y'all get together and plan some way to hurt this child?
No, sir.
Can you imagine a circumstance that could have occurred?
No, sir.
Mr. King, these other lawyers probably got some questions for you. Try to answer them the best way you can, all right?
Yes, sir.
And again, are you good?
Okay.
I say now, in the order, who's cross-examination, who goes first?
Which way do you want to go, Your Honor?
I don't know, I'm posing. Mr. Phillips, do you have cross-examination?
I'll be glad to go, Your Honor.
All right.
Let me make sure I understand your testimony, and I guess this is either based on your memory of the event or your comprehension of the event at the time, right? Your testimony today? You haven't looked at the video, you haven't
No,
done
sir.
anything. This is either from your memory of what happened or from your comprehension of that while it was happening. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
You would agree that everything that was done to that child was done with you and Rita. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
You put the child in the car, Rita was standing there when you did, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were standing around the car with Rita when the child was inside the car, correct?
Yes.
You went inside.
That's witness allowed to answer.
He did. You went inside with Rita, inside the front porch together, did you not?
We did.
Pardon me?
I did.
And while you were in there, the child is still out in the car, correct?
She was.
Now, is it fair to say, and I know we've had some testimony, it's a pretty hot day, it's in August. Your house, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your house is outside. The car was parked actually, it wasn't under shade, it was in direct sunlight. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you called 911, as you did, first of all, and I want to make sure I'm clear about this. You say that from the standpoint of turning on and off the car, when you put the child in the car was on. But you turned the car off after you got the child, or after both of you got the child out of the car. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're sure about that?
Absolutely.
Again, based on either your memory or your comprehension of the event that day, right?
I'm sure about that.
You got a security system that works really well in that house, do you not?
Yes, sir.
It's actually pretty sensitive, is it not?
Yes, sir.
It's got some infrared, it's got some other stuff, it's picking up everything. And all those are run cameras around your house, right?
Yes, sir.
In fact, I think at one point in time, you could actually see a bug fly by and set the camera off, right?
Yes, sir.
And it was motion detected, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if there's any motion around your house, it's going to pick that up, right?
Right.
Okay. Let me go to, if you could go to 11:15 on the camera. Rita came back to your, all right, first of all, you were with
Y'all
Rita.
can wait till 11:15. That's what he's going to address.
You were with,
Could I get a ruling?
Overruled, proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. You were with Rita starting that Friday, is that right?
Yes, sir.
In fact, you went over to her house, just like I think this Honeycutt or Miss Lindsay said. You went over to the house and picked her up in your truck, correct?
Yes, sir.
Took her back over to your house. She was with you. That would have been Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then at some point in time Sunday, she went back and got the child. I guess it was in the afternoon because you had to take her back over there.
Yes, sir.
That was later in the afternoon, right?
Yes, sir.
So she was with you that entire time.
Yes, sir.
This is at the same time that I think you also said you were on pretty much a meth bender, were you not?
I was.
You were.
I was.
In fact, you were using constantly, were you not?
I was.
And in fact, you also said you hadn't slept in a couple of days at that point, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the last time you slept up until that point?
I think it was Thursday or Friday.
Okay, so for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you are doing meth all 3 of those days when you're staying up. Rita doing that with you?
I don't recall.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
You gonna stick with that?
Your Honor, that's the answer. That's the problem.
Objection.
I apologize.
Overruled, I mean, go ahead.
Yes, sir, I'll rephrase it. Did you not tell law enforcement that Rita, in fact, likes to put her meth in her coffee and drinks it that way? Did you not tell them that?
Maybe I did.
Maybe mention that. Okay.
Boom. She puts her meth in her coffee. He said that 4 years ago.
Wow.
Now I want to know what was in the Kool-Aid because it was a rule for every babysitter to keep the Kool-Aid cup full.
Yeah, that is alarming. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Alaska said meth coffee. Raunchy said, what gets me is that he said his house was 15 miles from Rita's house, yet it took them an hour to get the key.
And they both had to go. Like, I'm confused by that situation too. And why did you not already call 911 the moment you realized that you didn't have your key? If we're supposed to believe this story and your child's in the car, why would you not have immediately called the police for assistance?
Or just break out the damn window yourself. Hell, meth addicts can tear up a crowbar.
Well, that's the next point I was going to make as well. So, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Mm-mm.
Someone that's high on meth and hasn't slept in days, they could turn the damn car over if they want.
Well, and it's interesting that he decided to keep that story about whether or not she was on meth, but he can remember vividly their conversation they were having on the porch 4 years ago. I can't remember a conversation I had 4 days ago, 4 hours ago, much less 4 years ago. And they're on a meth bender with 4 days of no sleep or whatever it ended up being. But you can recall every little thing that you all talked about. Right. We're supposed to believe that too, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
She's with you the entire time on this 3-day bender. You're using meth. Your testimony, you don't remember if she was using it or not, but you know that when she does use it, she puts it in her coffee. That's your testimony?
I speak for myself, sir.
Well, unfortunately, you answered my question, sir. So my question was, when you're doing the meth, is Rita doing it with you?
She was using.
Thank you, sir. Can you back up, please?
So you don't remember, and now she's using. I want to know, is her vagina lined with gold? I'm not going to find out for myself.
No. Idiots. Gosh.
I'll get to that. I'm not anywhere close yet. So on this 3-day bender that you and Rita are on, did she sleep at all, or were you both up the whole time?
She slept.
Okay. So you heard the testimony from the toxicologist talks about, and she actually talked about your under influence going up and coming down, and in fact, I think she even actually mentioned that while you're on and taking it, you're staying up. That's not unusual. So that's pretty consistent with your testimony of what happened to you. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Would you also agree that when you're on meth, and I know you're not on it today, but let's make sure you were on it these days, right?
Yes, sir, I was.
It's fair to say that you had problems with your decision making, your critical judgment, your cognitive abilities.
Yes, sir.
So everything she testified to as the effect of methamphetamine was pretty much what you were experiencing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And in probably, in fact, including the increased libido.
Yes, sir.
Jack, it's irrelevant.
Function is overruled.
In fact, when you went into the house with Rita for about an hour or so like this, I think you told the council y'all were making up. You're going inside to have sex, are you not?
We did.
And that's while the child's still out in the car.
In the air conditioning with the car running.
Okay, well, let me go back now to turn the car was on when you put the child in.
Absolutely.
And you turned it off before the law enforcement got there.
Yes, sir.
You go to 11:15, or is that somewhere like that? Can you see the monitor from where you're standing?
Yes, sir.
That's the car we're talking about, correct?
Yes, sir.
This is your front porch.
Yes, sir.
And speaking to the microphones of these.
Yes, sir.
And you also testified that your monitor is pretty sensitive, so it's picking up. I was just picking up motion now, but we really can't even see it. I guess that's from the moss or anything like that. Any of that stuff is going to set it off? Pretty sensitive.
Possible, yeah.
And were you here when the officer testified that up until this point, there had been no motion around that car?
Yes,
of course,
sir.
when you picked her up from the house, you took her back to the house, and she came back. What time did she get back?
I don't know.
I mean, it was at night, though, right? Like Sunday night?
I think, yes.
Okay. Forward the speed since we already know what's on it. That's Rita coming out of your house.
Yes, sir.
That's Rita opening the back door, checking on her. Or excuse me, that's next. That's actually Rita sitting down in the front seat of the car. Now you see a time miss because there wasn't any motion. So actually, Bill, you want to go back one second? Thanks. So, a little bit farther. Thank you. So at 12:29, Rita comes out and sits down in the front seat of that car. And she doesn't obviously get out immediately because the camera skips because it's a motion censored camera. So she stayed in the front seat of that car for a period of time.
See, he's all confused now. I sped it up because he was sitting there watching the video and they don't show the video. So supposedly she was locked in the car. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But Rita can open the doors. What are your thoughts, Muscles?
Well, I was sitting here trying to digest that just then because I was thoroughly confused. Again, I've not watched this, so I was really, what? She was locked in, but she could open the door.
Unless Rita locked the doors and said, "Oh, the keys are in there. You've got to take me back to my house."
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. I think I'm lost. I'm going to keep listening because I think I'm super lost on it. But this is all just so this is just so stupid and so uncalled for, and it's infuriating to listen to this. Oh my gosh.
It is. And here's the whole thing. If you were too damn high to remember the day, don't take the stand.
Exactly.
You have a motion activated camera, and Rita was the one going out checking on her.
Yeah.
And you don't know whether she cut on the car at that point, right?
No, sir, I don't.
Because she went out to check on her daughter.
Yes, sir.
All right, now she comes back. She's been out of the front seat. And she opens the back door. She says something to Cristina. Looks at the gauges of the car. You see her pause and look in the front before she closes. And one more time, if you don't mind. That last part. Thank you. So we have Rita sitting in the front seat for a period of time, then Rita getting out, then Rita opened the back seat, and then the front door again, looking at the gauges, and walks back in.
Yes, sir.
That's what the video shows.
Yes, sir.
You're telling me in 4 years, his attorney did not sit down with him and go through this video?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Are you serious? And
from his own camera and outside of his own home. Wow.
Again, this should have never happened.
Absolutely.
Mistakes were made.
Yes, sir.
You both should have done things differently.
Yes, sir.
Now, you told Officer Bonardor that Rita loved her to death.
She did.
Is that true?
It is.
Is that your hand on the Bible to God? She loved her daughter?
It is.
And that's your statement here today as it was then?
Yes, sir.
On the scene to the police?
Yes, sir.
You saw how she acted with her daughter?
Yes, sir.
Would Rita have wanted Cristina to die in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely not.
Now, there was a phone call made to Ada Hayward.
Okay, they're both being tried together. So, in some form, he has to take up for her. And loving Cristina to death is not sitting well with me.
No, no, and if I would hate to see what it is if she doesn't love someone to death, or if she despises someone and what she does to them, because you'll never convince me why leaving her in the vehicle for 5 hours seemed like a good idea. I don't care how many ways you turn it, if you had the car running, any of that, like that doesn't take away anything. Why was she even in the car for 5 hours? Period. I don't care if they claim they left the car running and it was 32 degrees in there and it was cool and this and that. There's no excuse for that. There's just no excuse.
Zero excuse.
And what did y'all call Eddie Hayward about?
Stokes Lock and Key.
Two different people. So again, you had, well, I guess she meant, that's for her. I'll stay with you.
Yes, sir.
You called Stokes Lock and Key the local locksmith.
Yes, sir.
And how did that go?
The key fob wasn't unlocking, it wasn't working. I guess the batteries were weak. So he gave me instructions and told me of where Mert's key was and told me what to do to get inside the car.
Now, the jury saw yesterday y'all shaking the car. There hasn't been any explanation for that because that seems strange. You found that out through Robert Erebus.
I'm thinking so, yes, sir.
Well,
I didn't remember really shaking the car, but my attorney had addressed that.
So
I'm assuming that maybe he might have said something to maybe reset. I don't.
Well, they'll hear from Robert.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, with that, at this point, your position clearly is that Rita loved her daughter to death.
She did.
And there was absolutely no position in y'all's part in terms of wanting Rita to die. That's clear.
Cristina, absolutely not.
Cristina.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as her being in that car, it was your belief the car was running.
Yes, sir.
Would you or Rita ever have left her in that car if y'all thought it was not on?
Never.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
I don't think I asked you this earlier. Clarification sake. Are you and your caller, Rita? Are you and Rita in a relationship now?
No, sir.
Have you been in a relationship since that day?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, you weren't out with Rita at 12:30 when she walked back out to the car, were you?
No, sir.
In fact, it didn't look like you were on the porch or anything, right?
That's right.
So you know what you did. Correct?
That's correct.
So your opinion about the car being on or off at this point, you don't know one way or the other, do you?
Actually, I don't.
Your testimony is the car was already on.
Yes, sir.
And you gonna stick with that, or we change it now to Rita
No,
turn
sir.
their car?
Rita did start that car.
What now?
Rita did turn the car on. I didn't turn the car on.
But you can't change your testimony on the stand, dipshit, when you've been sworn in to tell the truth. And they've asked you over and over and over. It's been 4 years. You were under the influence. Do you have proper recollection of this day? Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Now, so he's, tell me what he started his story was that he did see her turn the car on. Now he's saying he didn't, or vice versa.
He didn't see her.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I was following. Sorry.
Oh, I know. It's just too much to keep up with. Trust
It
me.
is.
You need a whole spreadsheet.
Yes.
When did Rita turn the car off?
On.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rita turned the car off. When did she do that?
To be honest, I'm not sure, sir, when she started the car.
You didn't go out here after this point, so you don't know if the car's on at this point or not, one way or the other, right?
I don't.
All right.
But he testified the whole time that the car was on.
Exactly.
Don't forget that. Yes, the car was on. Yes, the car was on. Yes, the car was on. Well, the car fairy didn't turn it on. You can't testify to one thing and then say, no. See, the jury is paying attention. They have to. They're not playing on their phones. They're not watching Netflix. They're paying attention.
Let me go to exactly 12:30:25, please. And is it fair to say, sir, that if she's turning the car on now, the child has still been in the car for, at this point, an hour and 15 minutes?
The car was running when I put the child in the car.
Okay. So that's not her turning the car on. She's already on, right?
I don't know what Rita's doing right now. I wasn't outside.
Right.
Okay, that long exhale knows he's fucked, but not with the good Rita feeling. Okay?
Facts.
When he goes,
Yeah. Yep. They're poking holes in my story.
yeah, that's what happens when you have two different sides get to ask you questions.
That's right.
Is it fair to say she's opening both doors at the same time? Go back to that again, please, sir. Fair to say she's opening the front door?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, this is the first time I'm talking about this. Okay, it's 12:30. She walks back to the car. Is it fair to say she's opening the front door?
Yes, sir.
And the back door at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Wondering why you would do that unless you were airing out the car.
Your Honor, I think further questions. I'd ask for a strike. Solicitor's last
I'm sorry, I should have put that in before a question. Can you come up with an idea why somebody would open both doors at the same time unless they were trying to air the car out?
Calls for speculation, Your Honor.
I don't
I'm
know.
asking.
I don't know, sir.
I'm objecting that it calls for speculation. I'd ask for a strike.
Objection from the
Thank you, Your Honor.
anything further, Mr. Phillips?
Just one question. When you watch that video, we can pull it up again because this is mainly for the jury. And go back to, I guess their main contention is the fact that two doors open. When you watch this video, and because there's really two interactions, her sitting down in the driver's seat for a period of time, and then the second one where she goes back to the car and opens both doors, she peeks her head in and looks at the gauge of the car, specifically looks at the front part of at what I assume would be the gauges of the car.
Yes, sir.
All right, she says something, and she sticks her head in the car. That's what you see.
Yes, sir.
It's not that she just opens two doors.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Way to go, Larry.
Yeah.
Way to
And what's the relevance of her looking at her gauges? Like, what is that? Are we implying that she decided she was going to run out of gas, so she had to hurry up and turn it off, or what are we implying?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Looking at the gauges because the car had been running for so long. He says the keys were locked inside and they couldn't get in, and she didn't want to break the sunroof to get in.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Come on, if she's opening doors. And Tweaker never watched his own security footage, which is motion activated. It only comes on when they're playing grab ass on the porch or she's going to the car. What did he think was going on all this time? Did he take her word for it? He's like, well, I tried to pry the door open, or was she setting him up? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, all this, you've had 4 years to build your stories and your lies, so we know that that's been 4 years long. And you've already changed your story so many times. I need a freaking dry erase board to try to keep up with it. That's a mile long. It's just, we go back to the simple fact that you chose to leave a child in a vehicle for 5 hours, and neither one of you thought that that was a problem. So, case closed, guilty both on all charges, and fry them. Period. That's just where I'm at with it. You
Period.
can't make that make sense at all.
Mrs. O said this case in particular hits hard. Cristina did not deserve that. My special ed teacher heart breaks more and more with every word they say.
Gosh.
They treated her like a 17-year-old mutt with one leg covered in shit.
I'm telling you.
Here's a video of Cristina in happier times.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Cracker Barrel. Happy birthday to you.
Yay! And she's reaching for food. She's using her hands. I think with special education, I think she would have been more mobile and more vocal. I'm not an educator. I'm not a professional. I just think that.
Well, if watching that video don't break your freaking heart, you should check your pulse. But wow, that child has, I feel like children that are born like that and have just the world stacked against them are the sweetest kids ever. And they want nothing but love. And that's all that they know. That's what they thrive on. And the fact that this young lady, God knows what she experienced in her life, but what we do know is she suffered a horrific death, and no human being deserves that, except for maybe the ones that put her in that position. And I'm sorry, but again, eye for an eye. You do the crime, that's how you should have to pay for your time. The exact way that what you did to that young lady. Bless her heart. Oh my gosh, bless her heart.
For some reason, it seems like somebody wanted to keep her in a certain state.
Yeah. And you're right, Brooks, with a little bit of that education that, we were just listening to some of these other people that do this for a living. They literally just said that they teach these kids over and over and over again until it becomes normal to them. And then when it's not normal again, they teach it to them all over again. And I'm like you, watching that video right there. I don't know what birthday that was, but that young lady was ready to pick. She was reaching for things. So yes, with it, I full-heartedly believe that she could have been educated to do what she needed to do.
I just think it's damn disgusting.
It is.
I mean, this has got me so heated, and I can't wait for the verdict. And I certainly can't wait for Judge Newman to give them a talking to.
I cannot wait to hear what he says at the end of this either, because that man right there, he tells it like it is. And I can't wait for him to all but tell them they're both pieces of shit and they don't deserve breath again. I hope that's what he gets to tell them. And he would. He'll tell it in a much nicer way than I do, but.
Oh, he will. And the way he says it cuts to the core.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you for coming up. I want to thank Rexy for coming up. I want to thank Laska for coming up. I combined Alaska with Rexy. That's what happens when I write in shorthand.
I like the name. That was good.
Might be a new name around here. You never know. Maybe. And all of you for being here, because I believe this story is very, very important.
Yes.
Because a child has disabilities doesn't mean they can be put in a crate and put to the side, put in a back seat. Because a child needs more attention. I give OJ more attention than Cristina had.
Well, and just one last thing for me, and I'll leave you alone so you can close out. But
Oh,
my
no,
question,
girlfriend, you're fine.
it becomes, okay, so we heard how much that she loved her. She loved her unconditionally. She cared for her. She gave her everything and all this. Then what happened? And is it the choice that you made to start using drugs what actually spiraled you out of control to the point where you ended up where you are today? I mean, was it that you did care for her? I mean, I'd love to know what that looks like, and maybe there's some stuff that I can understand later, or go back and watch in the trial. But something happened to where you became tired of dealing with this issue, and you didn't want to have to do. What happened? If in fact that you cared for her entire life, and I don't know that that's true or not either. So,
Well, here's another video of her. Somebody was working with her.
Mm.
It seemed to cease at one point.
Mm.
Come on. Come on. Get in your chair.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. There's another video, and they're going to show it in court, where her mother got frustrated with her, even though she's an educator too, and she called her an effing tard.
Oh. Bless her heart. Fly high, beautiful baby girl is all I can tell you. I mean, it's just pitiful that the world has come to this, and it's terrible what your mother put you through, and her, God only knows what other people she was exposed to through her pathetic mother, if that's what you want to call her. And she don't deserve that title, in my opinion. Never has, never will, because when you end up in a situation like that, she doesn't deserve that title. Mothers and fathers are precious things to be called. If you don't look at it that way, please do us a favor and don't have children. Remove every organ that you have that produces children, and give your children to someone that will care for them, because you don't deserve to have that title ever.
No, you're exactly right. Just because you can reproduce doesn't mean you should.
No. But thank you for letting me come up here and fuss and vent for a little while, and bring a lot to this.
I'm going to need you tomorrow too, because tomorrow's show is going to be a barn burner, and it's going to really light your britches up, Muscles.
Oh, Lord. Okay. I'll see what meetings I can get moved so I can be here. How's that?
That'll be good. It'll be at 9 a.m. my time. All right, everyone. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much again for Laska, Resky. I did it again. That's what happens with my shorthand. Rexy, Muscles, all of you. We have new members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel with your super stickers. It means the world. And I will see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. In the meantime, watch where you step, because you know what happens on the YouTube streets. And thank you again for being the best chat and the best community on YouTube. You guys are the absolute best.